Chapter 1 of More Celtic Fairy Tales. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Ernst Schnell. More Celtic Fairy Tales by Joseph Jacobs. Chapter 1. The Fate of the Children of Lear. It happened that the 5 kings of Ireland met to determine who should have the head kingship over them, and King Lear of the Hill of the White Field expected surely he would be elected. When the nobles went into council together, they chose for head king Derg, son of Dagda, because his father had been so great a druid, and he was the eldest of his father's sons. But Lear left the assembly of the kings and went home to the Hill of the White Field. The other kings would have followed after Lear to give him wounds of spear and wounds of sword for not yielding obedience to the man to whom they had given the overlordship. But Derg the king would not hear of it and said, "Rather let us bind him to us by the bonds of kinship, so that peace may dwell in the land. Send over to him for wife the choice of the 3 maidens of the fairest form and best repute in Erin, the 3 daughters of Oileál of Arran, my own 3 bosom nurslings." So the messengers brought word to Lear that Derg the king would give him a foster child of his foster children. Lear thought well of it, and set out next day with 50 chariots from the Hill of the White Field. And he came to the lake of the Red Eye near Killaloe. And when Lear saw the 3 daughters of Oileál, Derg the king said to him, "Take thy choice of the maidens, Lear." "I know not," said Lear, "which is the choicest of them all, but the eldest of them is the noblest. It is she I had best take." "If so," said Derg the king, "Ove is the eldest, and she shall be given to thee if thou willest." So Lear and Ove were married, and went back to the Hill of the White Field. And after this there came to them twins, a son and a daughter, and they gave them for names Fingula and Eod. And 2 more sons came to them, Fiachra and Con. When they came, Ove died, and Lear mourned bitterly for her, and but for his great love for his children he would have died of his grief. And Derg the king grieved for Lear, and sent to him and said, "We grieve for Ove for thy sake. But that our friendship may not be rent asunder, I will give unto thee her sister Oifa for a wife." So Lear agreed, and they were united, and he took her with him to his own house. And at first Oifa felt affection and honor for the children of Lear and her sister, and indeed everyone who saw the 4 children could not help giving them the love of his soul. Lear doted upon the children, and they always slept in beds in front of their father, who used to rise at early dawn every morning and lie down among his children. And thereupon the dart of jealousy passed into Oifa on account of this, and she came to regard the children with hatred and enmity. One day her chariot was yoked for her, and she took with her the 4 children of Lear in it. Fingula was not willing to go with her on the journey, for she had dreamed a dream in the night warning her against Oifa. But she was not to avoid her fate. And when the chariot came to the Lake of the Oaks, Oifa said to the people, "Kill the 4 children of Lear, and I will give you your own reward of every kind in the world." But they refused and told her that it was an evil thought she had. Then she would have raised the sword herself to kill and destroy the children, but her own womanhood and her weakness prevented her. So she drove the children of Lear into the lake to bathe, and they did as Oifa told them. As soon as they were upon the lake, she struck them with the druid's wand of spells and wizardry, and put them into the forms of 4 beautiful, perfectly white swans. And she sang this song over them: "Out with you upon the wild waves, children of the king. Henceforth your cries shall be with the flocks of birds." And Fingula answered, "Thou witch, we know thee by thy right name. Thou mayest drive us from wave to wave, but sometimes we shall rest on the headlands. We shall receive relief, but thou punishment. Though our bodies may be upon the lake, our minds at least shall fly homewards." And again she spoke, "Assign an end for the ruin and woe which thou hast brought upon us." Oifa laughed and said, "Never shall ye be free until the woman from the south be united to the man from the north, until Lergnan of Connaught, wed Dirk of Munster, nor shall any have power to bring you out of these forms. 900 years shall you wander over the lakes and streams of Erin. This only I will grant unto you, that you retain your own speech, and there shall be no music in the world equal to yours, the plaintive music you shall sing. This she said because repentance seized her for the evil she had done. And then she spake this lay. Away from me, ye children of Lir, henceforth the sport of the wild winds, until Lerngen and Dioch come together, until ye are on the northwest of Red Erin. A sword of treachery is through the heart of Lir the mighty champion. Yet though I have driven a sword, my victory cuts me to the heart. Then she turned her steeds and went on to the hall of Dirk the king. The nobles of the court asked her where were the children of Lir, and Oifa said, Lir will not trust them to Dirk the king. But Dirk thought in his own mind that the woman had played some treachery upon them, and he accordingly sent messengers to the hall of the White Field. Lir asked the messengers, Wherefore are ye come? To fetch thy children, Lir, said they. Have they not reached you with Oifa, said Lir. They have not, said the messengers, and Oifa said it was you who would not let the children go with her. Then was Lir melancholy and sad at heart, hearing these things, for he knew that Oifa had done wrong upon his children, and he set out towards the lake of the Red Eye. And when the children of Lir saw him coming, Fingula sang the lay. Welcome the cavalcade of steeds, approaching the lake of the Red Eye. A company dread and magical surely seek after us. Let us move to the shore, O Eod, Fiachra and comely Con. No host under heaven can those horsemen be but King Lear with his mighty household. Now as she said this, King Lear had come to the shores of the lake and heard the swans speaking with human voices. And he spake to the swans, and asked them who they were. Fingula answered and said, We are thy own children, ruined by thy wife, sister of our own mother, through her ill mind and her jealousy. For how long is this spell to be upon you? Said Lear. None can relieve us till the woman from the south and the man from the north come together, till Lergnan of Connaught wed Dioch of Munster. Then Lear and his people raised their shouts of grief, crying and lamentation, and they stayed by the shore of the lake listening to the wild music of the swans until the swans flew away, and King Lear went on to the hall of Dirk the king. He told Dirk the king what Oifa had done to his children. And Dirk put his power upon Oifa and bade her say what shape on earth she would think the worst of all. She said it would be in the form of an air-demon. It is into that form I shall put you, said Dirk the king, and he struck her with a druid's wand of spells and wizardry, and put her into the form of an air-demon. And she flew away at once, and she is still an air-demon, and shall be so forever. But the children of Lear continued to delight the Milesian clans with the very sweet fairy music of their songs, so that no delight was ever heard in Erin to compare with their music until the time came appointed for their leaving the lake of the Red Eye. Then Fingula sang this parting lay. Farewell to thee, Dirk the king, master of all Druid's lore. Farewell to thee, our father dear, Lear of the hill of the White Field. We go to pass the appointed time away and apart from the haunts of men, in the current of the Moyle. Our garb shall be bitter and briny. Until Dioch come to Lergnan, so come, ye brothers of once ruddy cheeks, let us depart from this lake of the Red Eye. Let us separate in sorrow from the tribe that has loved us. And after they took to flight, flying highly, lightly, airily, till they reached the Moyle between Erin and Albain. The men of Erin were grieved at their leaving, and it was proclaimed throughout Erin that henceforth no swan should be killed. Then they stayed all solitary, all alone, filled with cold and grief and regret, until a thick tempest came upon them, and Fingula said, Brothers, let us appoint a place to meet again if the power of the winds separate us. And they said, Let us appoint to meet, O sister, at the rock of the seals. Then the waves rose up and the thunder roared, the lightnings flashed, the sweeping tempest passed over the sea, so that the children of Lear were scattered from each other over the great sea. There came, however, a placid calm after the great tempest, and Fingula found herself alone, and she said this lay. Woe upon me that I am alive! My wings are frozen to my sides. O beloved three, who hid under the shelter of my feathers, until the dead come back to the living, I and the three shall never meet again. And she flew to the lake of the seals, and soon saw Conn coming towards her, with heavy step and drenched feathers. And Fiachra also, cold and wet and faint, and no word could they tell, so cold and faint were they. But she nestled them under her wings and said, If Aod could come to us now, our happiness would be complete. But soon they saw Aod coming towards them with dry head and preened feathers. Fingula put him under the feathers of her breast, and Fiachra under her right wing, and Conn under her left, and they made the sleigh. Bad was our stepmother with us. She played her magic on us, sending us north on the sea, in the shapes of magical swans. Our bath upon the shore's ridge is the foam and the brine-crested tide. Our share of the ale feast is the brine of the blue-crested sea. One day they saw a splendid cavalcade of pure white steeds coming towards them, and when they came near, they were the 2 sons of Dyrg the king, who had been seeking for them to give them news of Dyrg the king and Lir their father. They are well, they said, and live together happy in all except that ye are not with them, and for not knowing where ye have gone since the day ye left the lake of the red eye. Happy are not we, said Fingula, and she sang this song. Happy this night the household of Lir, abundant their meat and their wine. But the children of Lir, what is their lot? For bedclothes we have our feathers, and as for our food and our wine, the white sand and the bitter brine. Fiachra's bed and Conn's place under the cover of my wings on the moil. Aod has the shelter of my breast, and so side by side we rest. So the sons of Dyrg the king came to the hall of Lir, and told the king the condition of his children. Then the time came for the children of Lir to fulfill their lot, and they flew in the current of the Moyle to the bay of Eris, and remained there till the time of their fate, and then they flew to the hill of the white field, and found all desolate and empty, with nothing but unroofed green raths and forests of nettles. No house, no fire, no dwelling place. The 4 came close together, and they raised 3 shouts of lamentation aloud, and Fingula sang this lay. O Conn, it is bitterness to my heart to see my father's place forlorn. No hounds, no packs of dogs, no women and no valiant kings. No drinking horns, no copse of wood, no drinking in the lightsome halls. O Conn, I see the state of this house, that its lord, our father, lives no more. Much have we suffered in our wandering years, by winds buffeted, by cold frozen. Now has come the greatest of our pain. There lives no man who knoweth us in the house where we were born. So the children of Lir flew away to the glory isle of Brandon the saint, and they settled upon the lake of the birds until the holy Patrick came to Erin, and the holy Machaut came to Glory Isle. And the first night he came to the island, the children of Lir heard the voice of his bell ringing for matins, so that they started and leaped about in terror at hearing it. And her brothers left Fingula alone. What is it, beloved brothers? Said she. We know not what faint, fearful voice is what we have heard. Then Fingula recited this lay. Listen to the cleric's bell. Poise your wings and raise thanks to God for his coming. He shall free you from pain and bring you from the rocks and stones. Ye comely children of Lir, listen to the bell of the cleric. And Machaut came down from the brink of the shore, and said to them, Are ye the children of Lir? We are indeed, said they. Thanks be to God, said the saint. It is for your sakes I have come to this isle beyond every other island in Erin. Come ye to land now, and put your trust in me. So they came to land, and he made for them chains of bright white silver, and put a chain between Aod and Fingula, and a chain between Conn and Fiachra. It happened at this time that Lergnan was prince of Connaught, and he was to wed Dioch, the daughter of the king of Munster. She had heard the account of the birds, and she became filled with love and affection for them, and she said she would not wed till she had the wondrous birds of Glory Isle. Lergnan sent for them to the Saint Machaut, and the saint would not give them, and both Lergnen and Dioch went to Glory Isle. And Lergnen went to seize the birds from the altar. But as soon as he had laid hands on them, their feathery coats fell off, and the 3 sons of Lir became 3 withered, bony old men, and Fingula a lean, withered old woman without blood or flesh. Lergnen started at this and left the place hastily, but Fingula chanted this lay. Come and baptize us, O cleric, clear away our stains. This day I see our grave, Fiachra and Con on each side, and in my lap between my 2 arms plays Eod, my beauteous brother. After this lay, the children of Lir were baptized, and they died and were buried as Fingula had said, Fiachra and Con on either side, and Eod before her face. A cairn was raised for them, and on it their names were written in runes. And that is the fate of the children of Lir. End of The Fate of the Children of Lir. Recording by Ernst Schnell.